Once upon a time, in a small village nestled among the rolling hills of Africa, there lived a woman named Nkemdi. She was known far and wide for her lack of wisdom, lack of judgment, and her tendency to trust anyone who crossed her path. Despite the warnings of her friends and family, Nkemdi always believed the best in people, often to her own detriment. Nkemdi lived in a small mud brick hut on the outskirts of the village. She made a modest living by selling vegetables from her small garden at the market. Despite her simple life, Nkemdi was content. She had no children or husband, but she had her garden, which she tended to with love and care. One day, as Nkemdi was tending to her garden, she noticed a stranger passing by. The man was tall and handsome, with a charming smile and a smooth voice. He introduced himself as a Kinga, a traveler passing through the village on his way to a distant land. Nkemdi was immediately taken away by Ikenga. She invited him into her hut, offering him food and a place to rest. Ikenga accepted her hospitality graciously, and over the days that followed, he regaled Nkemdi with tales of his travels and adventures. Nkemdi was captivated by his stories, and before long, she had fallen deeply in love with him. Unbeknownst to Nkemdi, Ikenga was not the kind and noble traveler he appeared to be. In reality, he was a notorious thief and a con artist, preying on the kindness of unsuspecting villagers to steal their valuables and disappear into the night. As Nkenga's stay in the village drew close, he devised a plan to steal from Nkemdi. He told her of a distant land where the streets were paved with golds and rivers flowed with silver. He promised her a luxury life of riches if she would only follow him there. Nkemdi, blinded by love and the promise of a better life, agreed to accompany Kenga on his journey. She sold her garden and all her possessions to finance the trip, believing that she was embarking on a grand adventure with the man she loved. As they traveled, Ikenga's true nature began to reveal itself. He would often disappear for days at a time, leaving Nkemdi alone and vulnerable in strange and dangerous lands. Each time he returned, he would spin elaborate tales of his exploits and adventures, each more fantastic than the last. One day, as they were passing through a dense forest, he told her that this was the entrance to the fabled land of riches he had promised her. He instructed her to close her eyes while he went ahead to prepare their arrival. Nkemdi did as she was told, her heart pounding with excitement. When she opened her eyes, however, she found herself alone in the clearing, with no sign of Ikenga or the promised land of riches. She had been deceived, betrayed by the man she had trusted with all her heart. Heartbroken and destitute, Nkemdi wandered the forest for days, searching for any sign of civilization, like Ikenga told her in his tales. Eventually, she stumbled upon a group of villagers who took pity on her and brought her back to their village. Nkemdi told her story to the villagers, who were outraged by Ikenga's deceit. They vowed to help her seek justice and set out to track down the con artist who had wronged her. Nkemdi was surprised that the villagers believed her and are willing to help her, unlike her village. She was happy she wasn't called the foolish woman as usual. Nkemdi was given a place in the village and a little portion of land. She settled in the village and started working on her garden. The villagers saw how beautiful her garden was. They were astonished. as how she could cultivate lots of beautiful vegetables in such a small portion of land. The king pleaded with her to teach the village women the secret of her beautiful garden. Nkemdi taught the women, the girls, and all who cared to learn how to tend to a garden. She felt proud of herself that she actually had something to offer. Most women became jealous of her because their husband forced them to start farming. Ada, who was the wife of the village chief, pioneered other women to hate Nkemdi. Ada and her friend started the rumors that Nkemdi made up the stories about Ikenga to gain access to their village, that Nkemdi was the con artist herself. The king called the guards to carry out a proper investigation and find out if Nkemdi was guilty or not. Nkemdi became scared and worried that she might die in a foreign land and nobody would truly know she was innocent. The guards started their search in their village and neighboring villages too. After days of searching, they finally caught up with Ikenga, who was in the midst of another elaborate scheme in a neighboring village. Nkemdi was found innocent. Ada and her friends were caught. Nkemdi was curious why someone as beautiful as Ada would be jealous of her to the extent of starting rumors about her. She went to Ada and asked her why she started the rumors. She said she was jealous of how her husband always admired her strength despite all she has been through. Nkemdi started telling her about herself and how everyone in her village believed she was a foolish woman, but that didn't discourage her or make her not to see the best in people. Nkemdi pleaded with the king to let Ada and her friends go. The king agreed. With the help of the villagers, Nkemdi confronted Ikenga and demanded that he return all that he had stolen from her. Ikenga, caught off guard by the sudden turn of events, tried to deny everything, but the evidence was overwhelming, and he was forced to confess to his crimes. In the end, Ikenga was banished from the village never to return again or set foot in the village or the neighboring villages around. Nkemdi, though she had lost everything, had gained something far more valuable: the respect and admiration of her fellow villagers, who now saw her not as a foolish woman, but as a strong and courageous one who had overcome great adversity. She was also seen as a great gardener who can turn a dry piece of land to a beautiful and colorful garden. Few years later, Nkemdi decided to return to her village. She returned to her village wiser, richer, and more cautious than before. She rebuilt her garden and her life. The villagers were surprised when they heard her story from the neighboring villages. They apologized to her for calling her a foolish woman, and though she never forgot the pain that Ikenga had caused her, she never lost her capacity for kindness and trust. And so, the tale of Nkemdi, the foolish woman who became a legend, lived on for generations to come and also teaches us that sometimes our environment limits our potential. Leaving our comfort zone helps us to thrive. If you are listening to this story, I encourage you to take that bold step today about your life and career. With the help of God, you will definitely achieve your purpose. I'm strongly rooting for you. Thanks for watching. Kindly subscribe for more stories.